Everybody, are we live? Is it happening? Is it happen? I think it's happening. Let us make an official announcement on our Discord. Whoops. There we go. That's a red car. Red circle, red circle. Part 25. Woohoo! We did it. Ooh, look what I forgot to do. Silly me, silly me. I'm not gonna edit it. I'm just gonna say lol. Woohoo! We did it. Arnow478 says, oh hi. Hello Arnow, how's it going? Oh, hello to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. How are you doing? Arnow478 says, just writing a compiler right now. For real? Me too. That's crazy. I hope you're doing well. Arnow478 says, with Nick. What's the compiler about? What's the game plan? Is there a plan? Or is it like this one where it's unnamed and unplanned? We're gonna work on our to-do list, I think. There should be context handling here. It's true. Arnow478 says Baba is the name. Nice. Is it on GitHub? Is it open source? I'd love to see it. What's it written in? What language is it going to compile? There should be context handling here. Because, let's see, I don't have anything set up. So I'm going to have to go to todo.org and set up a little build command. We're going to use cmake, we're going to build our debug, we're going to run the executable it generates. Hey Nick, what's up? It's great to see you. Nick says, what's up, Lens? How's it going, Nick? I'm so glad you tuned in. How are you doing? I'm doing okay. We're working on a compiler. Lander XT. No. Lander XT, what's up? Thank you so much for tuning in. He says, imagine forgetting to include your channel link in the first message. Oof. At least I didn't edit it. I took the shame route and just posted another one. Lamau. Nick says we were about to make a language together. Ooh. Very cool. You and Arnow? That's very, very cool. Arnow478 says, I missed it. Will be written in C, but started today. Nice. I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. Arnow says, yeah. You are about to make a language together. That's awesome. Eternal Wild Fox says, hello. Grr, still not getting the Pratt parser. It's tough. It can be tough. It's okay. I recommend if you don't give up, you will succeed. It just may take some time. I know that's not great to hear always, but it's true. And if you need a break, it's totally fine. Taking 3 days away from a problem can actually make you much better at solving it. Nick says, it's like B, but it's gonna be compile time GSeed. Oh no. Lander XT says, if you don't give up, you will become President of the United States. Yes, see, Lander gets it. Don't give up. You can move here and become the president, I guess. I don't know why you'd want that, but you can. So I think I should use the greatest common denominator example. Hey, our compiler still works. Let's make sure to clean first, just so we can marvel at how fast our entire toolchain is. We can just rebuild our entire compiler and compile a program, and like that. So let's take a look at this source code that we are compiling. Let's actually load this. Still gotta add the, whoops. What did I just run? Universal argument more. I did not mean to do that, and I'm not sure what that does. I meant to type load file, but I typed unmode instead. In any case, now I can see, load it, and we have syntax highlighting, at least somewhat. And we can see that the program is fully represented by this AST and this context, which is basically a scope. RPWH says, yeehaw! RPWH, it's so good to see you. This is a perfect time to mention that RPWH donated right after the stream yesterday, or at least that's when I got the notification. He may have donated during the stream. So I'd just like to thank RPWH so much for being a supporter of the stream and allowing these streams to keep coming at you. So thank you, RPWH. You're a legend, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in. You're a PogChamp. LandoXT says you have to be born in the US to be president, though, right? You have to be a citizen of the US. You don't have to be president. Or, you don't have to be president. You don't have to be born. You just have to be a citizen. I think. I may be incorrect. You also have to be like 35, so... yeah. RPWH says, happy to pay for quality content. Aw, RPWH. You're making me blush. Stop it. Stop it. No, but go on. No, I'm messing with you. Thank you so much, RPWH. Never feel like you have to pay. RPWH says, I bought myself a Lily 58. You did? That's literally the split keyboard I want. You got it? That's so cool. That's so cool. I'm so excited. I'm very excited. I want to hear your opinion on when you get it, how it is. What switches did you get? I'm so curious. LandoXD says, no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. What is that from? Neither shall any person, probably the Constitution, be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident. Yeah, so you just have to live in the US for 14 years. There you go. Done. Because you can be a citizen of the United States, at least 35 years old, and live there for 14 years. There you go. LanderXT says the Constitution, lol. Do you expect an American to know our own Constitution? RPWH says, I got Gatoron yellows. Ooh, nice. Nick says, I have Miley Gatoron yellows. They are nice. What is Miley? LanderXT says, a natural-born citizen. Or a citizen of the United States. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I don't know how to read that language. It's not like it's English that I speak in. Milky Gatoron yellows. Ooh, nice. Very nice. So as far as I know, I'm not experienced with the Gatoron switches. I know about Kale switches and I know about Cherry switches. I kind of got a gap in knowledge with the Gatorons. Are the yellows like clicky, from what I remember? It specifies either you can be born in the US or a citizen at the time the Constitution was adopted. I see. So the at the time of the adoption of this Constitution applies to only or a citizen of the United States? Okay. First time chat from a new viewer, Lil Weege. How's it going? What's up, Lil Weege? He says, yo. Yo, Lil Weege. What's up? I like your name. It's fun to say. Nick1666 says, also, sorry. I'll stop saying the number eventually. They are cherry reds, but smooth. Yeah, although I do have a few jades for my escape key and caps. You're switching... Oh, RPWH says they are linear switches. Okay, so they're not tactile. They're just like cherry reds, like standards. Very cool. I almost want to get like the electrocapacitive switches. Just to flex on everybody. No, just because it's quiet and easier, but I feel like I have such fat fingers, I'm just gonna break them and press down with like 80 grams of force when they only need 20. So this example, I gotta start coding. This example gets compiled into this program in this context, and our current issue, as outlined in our to-do, is that if context handling during codegen is incorrect, and we have a little file link here that we can open, and it says there should be context handling here. So let's figure out what context we're in. So we have a case node type if. So we're trying to generate the code for an if expression. So we generate the if condition, Yeah, this should be the if condition. Yeah, then we print it out. So we're going to say generate if condition expression code. Is that right? Yeah. So maybe, because this is just for the fprintf in the output code. Perfect. Generate if condition expression code. That's what this does here. Ooh, I got some chats. RPWH says, I've never done any soldering before though, so it's a bit of an experiment for me. I think you got it. Gonna have to set it all up, the hot swap sockets and microcontrollers myself. Okay, the microcontrollers spook me a little bit. First time soldering on a microcontroller might be a little rough. But I think you'll get it. Soldering it's not too complicated, it's just small, is the only thing. Eternal Wildfox says, but is it me or is a Pratt parser really hard to implement right? Because I feel stupid now, lol. It is not just you, Eternal Wildfox, I promise. I would hug you if I could right now. I promise you're not stupid. I feel stupid all the time when writing this compiler and going, oh yeah, I built this entirely the wrong way and with a flaw in my thinking. It's okay. It's really difficult to, like, not only solve a really difficult problem, but also learn the solution to the problem before you understand the solution to the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's difficult problems, even the solutions are really difficult. So learning the solution is sometimes just as hard as solving the problem by hand, if that makes sense. So don't feel bad, you're absolutely not stupid, Eternal Wildfox. Pratt parsers are hard to implement, unless you, like, have done it a lot of times already, right? Or have experience in other parsers and can modify your existing knowledge to that. But just learning it for the first time, it's incredibly difficult. Don't feel stupid. Pratt parsers are hard to implement. It's way harder than most programs anyone's ever written, so. Or wrote? I don't know English. LanderXT says, you're acting like you don't get constant chat. I know, I'm used to being less popular. Now more people show up and it's scary. Nick says, lots of flux is my only tip. That's true. Get a flux pen and just paint everything with flux. Use some ISO afterwards if you really are worried about it, like, leaving residue. But if you're not worried about residue, just paint that flux everywhere, baby. It doesn't matter. LanderXT says, I'm running WSL inside of a Windows VM, inside of a Linux VM, inside of my Windows host. That's cursed. Landar, why? Imagine in 2022 running a Windows VM inside of a Linux VM inside of a Windows host. RPWH says, I've bought a big tub of flux and a solder sucker to fix mistakes, if needs be. Oh, you are good. Do you have that, like, copper braid to soak up some solder as well? Sometimes that can be helpful. Nick says, and you have enough RAM to open a browser? Hyper-V must be funky. Oh, talking about Lander's VM. LanderXT says, I'm using a different system to watch stream. How many computers do you have? I mean, most people have just the two, their phone and their desktop or laptop. So I guess it would make sense. So basically, we generate the if condition. We generate the if then, and the problem is that during an if then body, you can see that we actually create somewhere here context. No. We at least eat a context that has been created, so hopefully we create one. Otherwise we have some major issues, and I'm not sure how this would be produced. Eternal Wildfox says, I feel so close to the solution, but yet so far away. You know the feeling. I absolutely do. Absolutely. Because, that means you're probably gaining a lot of understanding about the problem and the solution that you have to implement, and you're realizing, like, oh, that's hard. Like, that's not what I had in mind. It's like when I wrote all this code that I'm probably, I mean, eventually we had or at some point, not eventually, at some point we had a recursive parser, and we removed all recursion from the parser because I was like, this is just gonna Stack Overflow. And then it's just you look at all your old code like, this is stupid. Why'd I do this? Why didn't I just do this new solution that I just came up with right now or that I just learned? And it's because you just learned the new solution and you're working as fast as you can, right? So if you are making the most progress that you can, you'll always feel stupid because it feels like the thing you just did was wrong. But it wasn't wrong at the time. It was the best you could do with the given knowledge that you had. Hopefully this makes any sense and I'm not just talking into your ear. Lander XT says, I'm watching on my laptop and using my desktop for the VM nightmare. Ooh. You still got your phone open for them sliding into them DMs, I see. But Eternal Wild Fox, I absolutely know the feeling. It can be so hard and so disheartening. Like, right? Sometimes it leaves you speechless. Just like, I can't deal with this. This is terrible. And other times it doesn't. It leaves you like, oh yeah, I did it. It's pretty funny. Like some of these streams I start and I'm like, okay, we got a hard thing to do, and then it takes me like 10 minutes and I'm like, well, I thought I was dumber than I was. And then sometimes I'm like, all right, let's fix this really quick, and then it takes 2 hours. And I'm like, I'm dumber than I thought I was. But it's okay. Because being slow or being fast, that's not really being stupid. It's just what it feels like. If you eventually get the answer, it doesn't matter how long it took you, you still have the right answer. So I wouldn't worry about anything like that. Check the Discord in the screenshot. I'm checking. Where are we at? Ooh. So we parse. So we have Elexir 1 plus 2 times... What is that? 1 plus 2 times 3 times 1. My bad eyesight coming into play. So the answer should be 6. It should be 7. Because we do 3 times 1 and get 3, 2 times 3 and get 6, and then 6 plus 1 and get 7. And what we end up with, we have parse precedence, a term, that's correct, and then a number. Yeah, I'm assuming there's been a number in here before the term, the 1. Yeah, but look at the parse tree. Is this the parse tree? Okay, I'll try. Binary expression, left, number 1. That's correct. It's a plus. And on the right, we have a binary expression of 2 multiplied by console.4.parser.expression. That's a bit of an issue right there. I'm not sure what that is. But everything else looks great. Because you have the tree with, if I draw this a little bit in my scratch buffer, you have the tree with plus at the top, right? Also, I gotta use Control-O, I always forget. You have 1 on the left. You have a binary expression of multiply. Like, you're very close. It's just that on the left you should have 2, like you do. And then on the right you just need the further expression of 3 times 1, right? Something like that. Indeed, that is the issue. All right. But yeah, it seems like whatever's happening here, it may, I don't know, it seems like it should work, because that's the proper parse tree. Oh god, if I were you, I'd spend some time making a better mechanism for printing the AST. Waffle is right, that's unreadable. It's not unreadable, we did read it, it was just a little rough. So right now you have like bug here, right? Ooh, we have company mode on in the scratch buffer. Eternal Wild Fox's parser is recursive and iterative in nature. Yes. Lil Weege, iterative would be faster and I'd like to learn about making the switch. I recommend looking into continuations. So the reason this bug is here, I'm not sure why, because it seems like if this was a bug, then this would also be a bug. So it's not the right-hand side of any binary expression, but the right-hand side of a factor If you parse that in a specific way, I would look at that. Because this is a factor and not a term when you're doing term factor parsing. Which isn't... I get that you're doing precedence parsing, but with terms and factors. So I think that if you have the right-hand side not being set correctly in the case where precedence is higher, then that would be somewhere to look. Hopefully that helps you out. And definitely take Waffle's advice and make some debug so that it can look like this, and you can go, ah, or any way you want, right? You could have it printed out with like labels on everything, like left, right, operator, stuff like that, whatever you want. But I recommend printing out like an indented tree so that you can visualize what it looks like versus having to, I don't know, imagine. Eternal Wild Fox says, yeah, I feel I am close. You absolutely are. You're like one bug away. And fixing that one bug may uncover 3 more. So you're probably like 4 bugs away. Just a conservative estimate. But yeah, Eternal Wild Fox, you are close. And Lil Weege, absolutely, continuations are something to look into. Because we have no recursion in our entire parser. We removed it. And it has to do with these stack operators. So you create a custom stack, heap allocated stack, and then you basically just keep track of what you need to in your little stack. So we have our stack, and anytime there's a stack after we parse an expression, we say, oh, there's probably more to parse, so we handle the stack operator, which does more things. And then this handles if conditions. So if we parse an if condition, we'll end up in this stack operator, and then we'll expect an if body, if that makes sense. Eternal Wild Fox says, right, the 1 solve plus 3 more rule. That's right. Solve 1, 3 more pop up. Isn't that like the Hydra problem? Like the 7 heads. You cut off 1 and 7 more grow. The solution is to keep cutting until the heads get so small you can you can just push them away, or they can't bite you. Alrighty, let's actually do some code. So you can see that we handle an empty if then body like this. So the if condition, it's likely we've already created our context because I don't see it handled in the stack operator. So when we parse an if condition, look at that, we create our context. So an if keyword, I hate how we have operators and keywords mixed in right here. This is definitely going to be cleaned up. And also, okay, folks, this code is old and will not work anyway. So we're just like, it's literally manually parsing function parameters as variable declarations. So this would not work. We're going to have to get rid of lambdas. I know, I'm sorry. They'll be back. Right? Parse lambdas. RIP. And they'll be back, I promise. And we'll also go up here and get rid of the unused. Is there even? Yeah, lambda. We don't need this right now. It's old code. It won't really work. And it doesn't matter. We're gonna have a much better way to define everything very soon. RPWH says Sag. Oh, I'm sorry, RPWH. I'm so sorry. Nick says, no, the solution is accepting the heads or features. Lol. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Ooh, Luigi in the Discord has a very cool debug AST printout. That's awesome. We'll look at that. So I'm just checking my phone, make sure I don't miss any donations or anything else. In any case, I'll check the Discord. Look at this. That's beautiful. He has line number and like line number, column number, and file location. This is awesome. That's an AST. That's beautiful. This is like much like what we did, but with labels. Very cool. Very cool. But yeah, it's definitely worth it to get some sort of tree structure that you can print out so that you can visualize what your program is doing, what your compiler is actually building. Eternal Wild Fox. Hopefully that helps at all. Media. Consume it all. Yes. Also, the cake is a lie. Okay, so you see we have these contexts. So let me explain what these are a little bit. So obviously, if you're familiar with, I shouldn't say obviously, if you're familiar with programming control flow, you're probably familiar with the if-else, syntax. And inside the if, you have like your little own function body where you can define things, like C could be an integer here, which equals 69. But then in the else, you can't just access C. C isn't defined in the same scope. And this makes sense. It would be weird if you could access the if from the else, because the if wouldn't be executed when the else is, which means that variable declarations wouldn't be there in the stack operations. The stack addresses that you're trying to access wouldn't exist, and it would be very broken. So we don't allow for that. These are different scopes. So you could define C as an integer here as well, and this is totally allowed. It's a little confusing, but it's totally allowed. And what this means is that we need to have separate environments, aka scopes, aka contexts, for each one of these bodies. So with this nested if-else, you see that we have the global scope, types, variables, functions, with one function, and then you see it has a child scope, which has the variables a and b, which are integers, and that is the scope of this function. And then this scope actually has child scopes, and one of them is this, where there's no variable declarations, and one of them is this, where there's another if-else, so it too has two child scopes, one each for the if and else bodies. Nick says tree on Windows, except it's an AST. Ooh, that's right. I forget about tree. We should do that. Look at that. Tree is beautiful. These Unicode characters, you should probably just copy and paste and use these, because it's worth it. I don't know if it probably works in C#. You can probably use Unicode and printf, and it doesn't matter. On C, it would be a little more complicated, but you'd probably have to use /u Unicode escapes, but you could probably just copy and paste these in C# and not worry about it. Very cool. Arnal says, wouldn't a Discord channel like r/Unix porn be amazing just to showcase our desktop and stuff? If you want, go make it. Be the change you want to see in the world. Nick says yes. LanderXT says Dear Bach. I don't know what that means, but hopefully I didn't just swear in some language. Anyway, with these contexts, we can see that they're being generated properly. They're not being printed out in a pretty way at all, because there's three separate things and they're all kind of lumped in on the same level. But it's something we're working on, right? So when we actually code gen an if expression, we have to make sure that we enter the proper context right here, so that when we're generating the then expression body, that we can do variable accesses and stuff from within the child scope. Because currently, you can't do something like this. This variable will never be in this scope, and that's currently the scope we're looking in. And when we get down into the nested, it just duplicates the problem. So we're going to fix this. And there should be context handling here. What does this mean, context handling? So we could either look at an example of where contexts are handled, so to speak, during functions and function code generation, or we could think about just what the actual problem is. We have a context and a next child context. So context is going to be our function context. I'm going to look at this specific case right now, right? And say that we are parsing this function or code genning this function, I should say. So we're going to be within this function context. And we have a child context that refers to the then, right? Okay, yes. Lander XT says it means positive or affirmative in Scottish Gaelic. Okay, that makes sense. Why the letters look a little confusing. Gaelic is always scary. So context is a function context. Next child context should hopefully be our if context. So we can try defining like a debug marker, right? We can literally name it that. And when we print, can we print a context? What is it? Parse context print? Yeah. So when we print our next child context, I would like to see what it is and just exit. I don't really care. That was a long rebuild. Exited with code 5. So first, then, let's print out next child context as a pointer and see if we have null. So it's not null. So dereferencing should be okay. So when we do this, it could be possible that parse context print is a little broken, but I'm not sure. When we dereference it, see, when we dereference it, we get null, which is a little confusing. You can see our debug marker is in the proper spot. So parsing, A-okay. Parsing is going 100% perfect, but code gen, you can see we're having some issues. So next child context is set to null. So we are going to have to look at an example. So problem, I'm just going to write this down so I don't forget it. Next child context is null when dereferenced. That's important, so I'm going to like bold it. Okay. So let's continue to think about how this could work and look at a function. So when we code gen a function, you can see that we get this function value from the context. And then we code gen the function in the same context. So are we still not, we're still not dealing with the parsing context here, are we? I don't think we're dealing with it properly. Because when we cogen the function body, we definitely, so maybe cogen function enters a whole context and does a whole thing. Whoops. Ookie. Where are we at? So when cogenning a context, we create a cogen context in the function. When cogenning a function, I should say. Words are hard, especially this morning. So we have our parameter, parameter, blah, blah, blah. Nested function execution protection. Yes. So we do code gen things. Here it is. Here it is. So when code genning the function body, see where we code gen the expression until there are no more in the function body. And the idea, okay, yes, yes. So the idea is we have a context, which is our context the function is within. And we don't actually want to use that context. We want to use the child context, which we have some protection here to protect against a null argument. but I'm not sure if we should in this way. We should put like a fix me. Should this null check create error rather than silently be allowed? We know the answer to this question, do we not? Never allow silent errors. We should definitely create an error and just deal with it. But in any case, if there's a child context, then we say the context is equal to that, and the next child context is equal to the next child context next child. So if we take a look at our little example, hey look, we're finally getting to the issues during codegenning because of our function. Nick says using children? Oh no. Monka S. Oh. Gotta love the good old tree language. No, it's okay. They're just on there's a whole heap of children. Eternal Wild Fox says victory! We have used the children. Wait, no. What did we what did we do? No, I presume is code. Yee, I believe I have victory. Okay, so 1 plus 2 times 8. 1 plus 2 times 8. Hey, that's correct. And the plus is on top of the binary tree, which means that you absolutely did amazing on that. And you only called parse once. Look at that. Look at you. This is beautiful. Yeah, this is great. I'm really excited to see where this goes. It's so cool you've made so many different compilers and parsers in like the past week. It's amazing. Very cool, very cool. I'm proud of you, Eternal Wild Fox. We're gonna cheer. Where's the party? Yeah. Woohoo! I'm really excited about that. That's really good. Woohoo! He got his Pratt parser working. Everybody give him a pog champ. That's amazing. Eternal Wild Fox says, yeah, it is crazy. I made a lot. Nick gives us a feels birthday, man. Lol. Woo! Yeah! That's so exciting, though. That's so exciting. So variable symbol debug marker, blah, blah, blah. So I'm literally just gonna steal this little ditty. I know I shouldn't copy and paste, but we are about to copy and paste. Where's node type if? I'm getting a little lost. Here we go. So when generating the if condition expression, I mean, I'd say we enter the context. So we should probably just enter the context. Enter if context. Well, I guess we create an if-then context, so the condition doesn't get its own context. So we're going to leave it till after that. If-then. Perfect. There should be context handling here. Perfect. This is where we were. This makes more sense. So now, if this is not null, context is equal to that. Also, this is equal to null, so we have a bit of an issue. And then next child context is actually going to be equal to the next child. Yes. But shouldn't we have a toEnter in the function body? I think I know what's going wrong. We need a toEnter. So the next child context should not be next child context. Okay. So then we're going to have next child CTX. And this is going to be next child context children? Is that how this would work? Let's think about how this would work. So this should only happen okay, I'm starting to get it. So then we can say that the next child CTX is equal to the next child context children when there is a next child context. Lender has a bunch of creeper faces. I'm pretty sure that's a celebration. We blowing them up. So next child CTX, yeah, this makes sense. and then we use ctx here. Because while we are within this child context, the next child context, then the next child context that will actually be the next child context of this next child context is the next child context child. I know I just said a lot of words, but they did make sense, I promise. So basically, this context here is our function context. That's our context. And our next child context is this right here, our if-then body context, right, with debug marker. So if we go back, you see debug marker in our if-then context. So when we have that, you hear my teeth smack. Cyber Patty says, "Hi, Linz, what you doing?" I'm chilling. What about you? What about you? How's it going, Cyber Patty? Thank you so much for tuning in. I feel like it's been a little bit. It's so good to see you again. We were just celebrating Eternal Wild Fox because he celebrated making a Pratt parser. It's actually working, which is incredible. That's a huge feat. Most people can't say that they've done that. Especially the way that Eternal Wild Fox did it, like in a week. It's very incredible, very incredible. Nick says, gotta go for a bit. Make sure to save the VOD though. Absolutely, Nick. It'll be up on YouTube. Cyber Patty says, that's so pog. Yee! It is, it is. It's amazing. And we're just working on our if-then contexts. Nick says, okay, see ya. Love you, Nick. Thank you for tuning in. Have fun wherever you gotta go. And stay calm out there. Cyber Patty says, GZ Foxy Heart. I don't know if I if I am missing emojis or if I'm just out of the loop on what Zoomers are doing these days. Eternal Wild Fox says, more parsers in a week. Oh god. Is that a promise or a threat? I also build my bytecode on my own parser algorithm. That's right, you just came up with it. It was incredible. The look ahead and look back, which I think is pretty ingenious. It's very cool. What is your problem? Oh, this is a problem. So, yeah. Thank you, Egglet. They fixed that for me. Okay, now we just exit abnormally with code 5. So that's beautiful, right? But the thing is, we have to do this also in the function body. I think it was this. Yeah, so the function body, we're going to need our like context to enter. Because obviously, if context is equal to next child context, using next child context is not quite going to work like this. Which I'm surprised I didn't catch before. But, you know. And yes equals children. Okay. Hey, Cyber Patty says, lol, I am on mobile, so probably I'm the boomer. I'm past the boomers somehow. I'm like an old man in a young body. Negvorsa says, hi everyone. Cyber Patty says, hi Negvorsa. How's it going, Negvorsa? Thank you so much for tuning in. How's it going? What's happening? We're working on our if contexts so that when we have a variable declaration inside of an if statement, it doesn't break everything. Lander XT says, hell of the O. Eternal Wild Fox says, let's add the project files to SVN. Oh no, subversion. Is that even a thing anymore? Is it, like, supported? SVN. Oh my god. I didn't know I'd hear that, those letters all together again. Okay, so we no longer do a null dereference or anything, but we now have some issues. Oh, so we pass the proper thing when codegenning an expression in a function body. We pass the proper thing when codegenning an expression in an if. Oh boy. So should probably use an iterator here. Yeah, it's a little sketch. See, we use original context here. That's fine. Eternal Wildfox says Subversion is still a thing. Negvorsa says for big files, I think. I see. So like a game studio, like GTA, who has hundreds of gigabytes of 3D models and sound files and everything, code, right? Then they'd probably use Subversion just to store an incredible amount of files. Whereas Git does struggle with all of its objects and loose objects, having to pack everything. And it can get bad, I agree. So that makes sense. Subversion is still around for like gigantic files. Oh god. That erupted out of me. I'm sorry, everybody. It's too dry in here. Lando XT says WordPress is primarily on SVN, I think. Interesting. WordPress is like that Squarespace. I don't know what WordPress is, to be honest. I'm both too young and too low level to know what that is. Eternal Wildfox says, what's WordPress? Okay, I'm not alone. Lol. Yeah, I don't know what WordPress is. Is it like a blog site, is from what I remember? Or like, is it like Wix, where you go get your own website for free? I don't remember. Eternal Wildfox says, no, I know what it is. All right, I'm alone. Arnal says, oh my god, you don't know WordPress. I do not. Eternal Wildfox says, I wish I didn't know. Lender says, it's a content management system. It's open source and you can self-host it. Content management system. So like you write like in Markdown and it turns it into a website. Is that what you're saying? And I'm sure you can write in like Ninja or Jekyll. Jekyll's the... Yeah, I think you can write in Jekyll. Basically, yeah. All right. They also have a site like Wix where you can make your own website. Okay. It's like Wix or Workspace, but more professional, like you can self-host. It has plugins and all. Yeah, Wix is like trash. It was just scammy. But we had to do it for school. Like they made us make websites as our final reports in our science classes. It was pretty dumb. It's a CMS, you can add plugins and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's like a blog manager. WordPress market share is 43% of all websites. Jesus. Eternal Wildfox says, time for coffee. Nice. Gotta get that cocainum, that caffeine. Okay, so confusingly enough, we now have invalid AST/context. And this is happening where? In a variable declaration, we are saying that what? We are looking up in our context variables, expression children, temp node. Expression children of a variable declaration is the symbol, so we're trying to get the type of a variable declaration, which should be in the environment. So we get that into temp node, and we're saying if not context, we got an issue. And that means that we're not looking in the proper context, I would say. So let's print out what context we're looking in, or each context we're looking in. Look at this. We've done it before. And figure out what's going wrong. So we have symbol debug marker, which is expression children. We have this context that we are searching within. That is the global context, just printed out again, right? And then before that, since it's in a while loop, we printed the debug marker symbol we're looking for, and before that we printed the context we're looking within, which is the function context. So we have not entered the if context, because the if context has debug marker, and we're trying to do that. So let's think about this. Node type if. I cannot type. So we're probably gonna have to deal with the else. I don't know why this isn't working. Let's think about it. Arnell says you normally use either the web Wix-like creator or directly HTML. I see. That's interesting. So what's its advantage over like a simple Python web server? Is it fast? Is it written in like C? I'm not sure. Is it just easy to use? Is that why it's so popular? So context equals context, blah, 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 blah. And we say if next child context, context equals that. Next child context is equal to context children. Also, I realize now that can be a little bit simplified. And then update next child contexts. And we use it just like we do there. We'll simplify this as well, just to get rid of that extra double dereference. So let's think about this. We're in the global scope, and we enter, let's just print when we enter a new context. Entered function contexts. Whoops. And this is going to be context. And you can see we, hopefully, entered function context with A and B. That is the proper function context. That's perfect. And then we search that for the variable declaration of debug marker. That's not what it is in the AST, right? We have A and B as parameters. We have an if, and then a variable declaration of debug marker. So we have to go through all of this to get before we even get here. Arnell says it's not meant for backend intensive website. It uses a simple Apache server as backend. Okay, so it's like a WAML type of thing. It's quite fast, easy to deploy a lot of pages, and has really good plugin ecosystem. Arnell says it's very different. I see. So Lander says it's basically just a fast, static website server. Not static in the sense, it's basically just your backend isn't meant to do a ton. You're not going to have like server-side rendering on WordPress, is what I'm getting at. Lil Weech says plugins are easy to use, however often have vulnerabilities. That's pretty much everything in any web ecosphere. Yeah, it's good, but a week after it comes out, it's full of vulnerabilities. So we enter our function context, and we should then enter our if context. So let's make sure that we do that. Phi. Remember phi? Imagine phi in 2022. So dumb. Entered function context. Entered if context. Oh, did I? Oh my god. Chat. I gotta write CTX and not context. Oh my god. Oof. It's too early to start coding for me, apparently. LanderXT says MOSDT. Oops, sent too early. What is MOSDT? I wish I was smart. I wish I was gigabrain like Landar. Hey! Oh my god. Hey! That's pretty good. So now, like, if we do... Let me just make sure, right? We still have to make sure. Then type symbol integer. Otherwise type none. Well, that's not correct. This if should still return the same things, and this is an integer. What do we get in the AST? So we get if variable declaration debug marker. We get none, none. Oh no. Chat. That's the parser. What have we done? What have we done? Oh god. I don't even want to think about what went wrong. So check for variable access, right? Should I not return error first? That's a little confusing of a control flow. So we try and get... Oh, no, we shouldn't. Because we just want to make sure that Yeah. Okay, I'm getting it now. Okay, we did it. So basically, we look for a variable, and if we get one, we make sure that there was no error. But if there was an error, or we, I mean, not if there was an error, but if we get none as our variable binding, then we go to the else and expect a valid. So if this fails, we go to else and expect a function call. And if this fails, we say unknown symbol. Did we say unknown symbol? I don't think we printed unknown symbol. So somehow, some way, it didn't break. Lil Weech says, good variable naming makes for the best bugs. True. Lander says, most WordPress sites are on cheap shared hosts and rarely get WordPress updates, leading to even more security problems. Oh lord. Nexovec says, hello Lens, what do you do when you're upset about how much you rewrite things? You rewrite them again. Yep. Lol. It's true. You go, man, this is all dumb. Time to rewrite it. So we have a bit of an issue somehow. I'm not sure where. Ah, I see. I get it now. So we're handling the if otherwise body stack. So there is a stack, so the symbol isn't necessarily unknown. I think it should definitely be unknown, even if there's a stack to handle. I'm sure this solves some issue, though, that we're going to run into if we get rid of this. And say, okay, if a symbol gets there, it's unknown. Symbol debug marker. Well, that's perfect. That's actually perfect. We have no clue what this could be. So the idea is this is just an unknown symbol and we don't know what to do with it. Can we still like compile pointers? So we can get rid of this and put it here. Everything should be fine. Everything is fine. Okay, so we now are separating the contexts. That's good. Nexovex says AFK. What does that mean? Away from keyboard? Are you leaving? Is that a thing? Watching without audio. Ooh. I don't know how you got that little blip, but that's cool. Nexovec is watching without audio. It's going to be a little difficult to understand what we're doing, but it doesn't matter. I'll just write out everything I say. So yeah, let's make sure that we can still compile the pointers example. We still can compile pointers, so I feel like our little change there, we're just being too aggressive, or too lenient, I should say, in the parser. So I'm just going to remove these. And hopefully this is fine. So now everything is working. I think we can go to codegen. Well, let's make sure that our generated code isn't insane. Actually, that's probably a good step. Where's main? So we have main. We jump to whatever this label is. And then we have a function call to GCD Euclid. So we move some things on the stack and call it. And then fix up the stack. I really should do some like second pass code gen where I say if there's a bunch of add RSP or just even consecutive adds with the same destination register, then just consolidate them all into one if they're all literal adds. Arnow478 says just click on the little 2 stars. The little 2 stars. I don't know if that's to me. LenderXT says test. This is cool. Ooh, he's listening only. How do you get these? Okay, I'm showing them on the stream because I've never seen them. So Nexivec went AFK and has this watching without audio. And then Landar says this is cool and it has listening only. It's very cool. I didn't know this was a thing. Click on your little camera icon. Oh. Oh. I didn't know this was here. I am so inept. I am so inept. Oh, thank you, Lander. Thank you so much. I am inept at this stuff. Oh. Can't believe I didn't know about that. Why do we not deallocate? Oh, because we deallocate here. That's a little confusing. Is this wrong? This might be wrong. In either case, enter if body, if then body context. Sure. Sure. So we can remove this entered if context thing, I think. Well, we'll leave it while we enter the if else. So if there's no otherwise, do we generate a context in the parser? This is something to think about. So if we just have like an if one A, what do we get? Like context-wise. So we have global context, function context, if then, which has a child, a single child for the if then. So an if with no else has a single context, which means that in codegen, we only need to generate the otherwise context handling, like we only need to do it if there's actually one. This makes sense. This makes sense because this is the otherwise. And if there's no otherwise, then we don't need to do it. But we do need to generate the otherwise label because otherwise that's a bit of an issue. What should implicit return of if with failing condition with no else be? 0. Easy one. That wasn't complicated. Hey, look, I already did it. Move 0 into the result register if there's no... Okay, we already did it. To done. Okay, so... I can't believe I really thought y'all were out here like you had some special Twitch knowledge to be able to change the color of your name in chat. There's literally just a goddamn button that I didn't know about. It's so funny. Life is funny like that. So entering the otherwise context is a bit different. Well, context and next child context we never actually changed, so it's not different. Because next child context was updated, so next child context is still our context. Yeah. We're going to leave this fix me here. Eternal Wildfox says, let me think, what is my next challenge? Building a prat parser with if and while statements? Ooh. It shouldn't be too difficult if they're statements. If they're expressions, I think you make your life very complicated. It's all doable, though. Lander XT says, I'm going now. I might be back soon. All right. Thank you so much, Lander, for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Thank you for chatting. It was a ton of fun to have you around. And yeah, I'll see you whenever you come back or not. Feel free to catch the VOD if you can't make it for the live show. It will be on YouTube later today. But yeah, thank you. Eternal Wildfox says, wait, how did you say that, lol? I don't know. What did I say? Are you talking about like the expressions and statements? Basically, statements don't return a value. No value returned. Something about expressions in living hell. Yeah, so basically returns a value. A statement doesn't return a value. So you never have to think about things if your if is an if statement, like it is in C, right? If your if is an if statement, you can't do things like a equals, well, if 1, then it equals 69, but else it equals 420. This would be allowed, right? In our language, it would look like that. But this would be allowed if was an expression, right? So if returned a value, then it would say, okay, then A can be equal to an if statement, which is confusing, but it makes sense when you think about it, that you could have like some input, and you could say if some input is greater than 100, then it's 69, else 420. And you may want to assign a variable to this value that you are returning here. And in C, this is solved by ternary operator, which is done like this, and it's very confusing. That's understandable, right? It's really confusing. So you have your condition, and then ternary operator, your then, and then a colon, and then your otherwise. So we're basically just allowing if to be a ternary operator, which returns a value as an expression. But this just makes parsing kind of, it gets more complicated. I know the ternary operator. Nice. Yeah, so you understand that the ternary operator is easy to implement because it's just like another operator. But when it comes to if, then you have to ensure some semantics like, oh, the type of A has to match the return type of the bodies of both of these, and it's a lot. Eternal Wild Fox says, I knew it from PHP. Nice. That's very nice. But yeah, so if your if is a statement, then this isn't allowed. You can't do anything like this and expect to get away with it, because it would be like, hey, there's no value here. A reassignment requires an expression, right? Or something like that. But if you don't have to worry about if and while being like things that return values and they're just statements, then it's much easier because they don't fit into the parsing of expressions at all. So when you're parsing like 1 plus 2, you don't have to parse 1 plus if 1, 2, else 3 plus 4 times 6. You know what I mean? That gets a little more complicated versus if you just say, okay, an if can happen at the top level and nowhere else. Hopefully that makes any amount of sense. In any case, we would like to enter the otherwise context, and we exit abnormal with code 5. That's great. So what would we like to do? Entered if else context and exit. So we can exit and we can enter an if else context. So we enter this if else context, and we have, as you can see, the two child contexts for this if else. So everything should be fine there. So should I do this? Yeah, still the same thing happens. So we're not null. So what's happening when we exit with 5? Why? We're gonna have to do a debugger. I'm just gonna try. This may crash emacs, so I'm sorry, but we're gonna try. I don't know what I equals mi is. Does anybody know what I equals mi is? I don't know what it is. I'm gonna just get rid of it. And also I'm gonna have to move. We're doing it. Hey, look, it's already set up. Code.exe. That's not what we want. We want debug func. And then we're gonna have to set up arguments. Can we do like dash dash? That's normally how you do that. We're gonna try this. If this doesn't work, we're just gonna go to Visual Studio because we're on Windows, but I like GDB and we're gonna try it because GNU is awesome. Free and open source. Check mine EBNF on Discord. Nice. Okay, I will check that out very soon, Eternal Wild Fox. Very soon. I'd like to pass it example / greatest common denominator. Perfect. Very interesting. So I should be able to do like break on, what would I want to break on? Codegen.c line 394, can I do that? Yeah, we cannot do this. I think it's, oh yeah, it's running the wrong GDB. So this must be a GDB from, I don't know where it's from, but not the right spot. Either way, it's fine. Quit. I thought that was how you did that. Hey, look, there goes my emacs. I'll just kill the buffer and it'll kill the running process with it. Hey, Eternal Wildfox said, do some stuff in the Discord. Check mine EBNF, it should be okay. I do not actually know EBNF grammar. It looks like initialization statement, int double, so this is a declaration. You have program, which is just any amount of statements, statement, which is all your types of statements. Identifier equals expression, which would be a reinitialization, print statement, which is just print expression. I see. If statement, which is if expression statement, and while statement, which is while expression statements. I mean, it looks like it looks good as far as EBNF goes. I'm not a master, but it seems like it'd be fine. It'd be hard to have a program return a value, but if you're gonna have like functions and stuff, then it doesn't matter. Reinitialization statement is like I equals 1000, for example. Yeah. Because if you did like an int I equals 20, then you could say I equals 1000, and that would be your reinitialization after your initialization. Normally these are called declarations and assignments or redefinitions, but it doesn't matter. They all work, and these words are clear for what they mean. Eternal Wildfox is right. But yeah, these are absolutely, this looks just fine as a basic grammar. I gotta go back to emacs so I can alt-tab and do here. Because I have to open Programming Sprima 2022 Fun Compiler. And Windows, and the terrible IDE known as... Look, they even gave us a logo. How perfect. I've been streaming over an hour. I'd just like to say, check out that About section down below. There's the YouTube with all my previous broadcasts on there, as well as the GitHub, where the code of this compiler we are working on is hosted and completely open source. You can go fork it for yourself, run it on your own computer, write your own programs in this language we are creating. So yeah, that's all doable. Be sure to go do that. There is also the Discord where we all have a ton of fun. There are announcements every time I go live. We do code review. We have just general fun. It's a lot of fun. I really like it. Terry Davis is here. So that's a positive. From the heavens, you get to talk to Terry Davis. So that's always nice. And finally, down below, there's the donate button. And if you have the extra money, I would greatly appreciate any and all donations. If you leave a message, I'll say it was you. And if you leave your name, I'll attribute it to you, obviously. So if you leave a message, I'll read it on stream as long as it's appropriate. I said the wrong thing, but it's fine. It's fine. Because we can now continue with our little debugging. Eternal Wildfuck says, I use that IDE all the time. I can work with it. It's true. It's true. It's just not for me. It's not that it's terrible. I can't stand all these windows and things and like, I don't know to look in the project tab because all this stuff is like, just opens more stuff. It's terrible. Like, oh, there's a project tab. Manage NuGet packages. This, like, how would that be helpful ever in a CMake project? It's confusing as to how everything is always available behind 3 button clicks. Run code cleanup. What is code cleanup? Like, configure code cleanup. Oh, good. You have fixers. I love fixers. And there's so many hidden menus. I get confused. I just want to set a breakpoint and like do some basic things. I'm not so fancy. So I need to look for a node type if in codegen. And I think there's an exit statement in here. Yeah, I think around here I'd like to break. And let's just see what happens. So we're probably going to fix the program we passed to it. As expected. Behind yet more buttons. It's fine. Oh, and no tab completion either. Gotta type this out like a peasant. Is there an S? Did I spell denominator right? That's better. Okay, so we entered the function context of the function. That looks proper. We entered the if context within this function, which looks proper. So next, we want to enter the next child context. So we entered if context. We entered if else context. Ooh, can I like skip over? Step over. Thank you. Yep, show me. Thank you. And you can see that this is the proper context. Well, that's confusing. What's going wrong then? Context was null putter. Wait. Okay, explain to me how... Where are we? What's our call stack? So we cogen the function, we cogen the expression within if, right? Oh boy. So in node type if, we generate the else expression. Oh my god, chat. No! We're using the wrong ones. It's that simple. Oh god. I can't believe we're doing this. So we enter the proper context by setting context and next child context. CTX, right? And then we just go on to, ignore those. Don't use those things that are obviously correct. Use the ones that are not correct, right? God. Can't believe I did that. Gotta love debugging. To point you to your stupidest mistakes the fastest as possible. Alrighty. Still waiting when you replace context with body. You mean scope? You're correct, though. We should call it a scope. Even in my notes, I have a piece of paper next to me that I wrote on the 30th of August is the date on it. And it says, contexts are needed to keep track of scopes. We could really just rename them to scopes. I've been staring at that note for days, and I still haven't done it. It's going to be another thing like the LenderOS license. It's going to be a pull request where someone has to change like 1,000 occurrences across the code base. It's going to be messy. Hey, look, it works now, chat. Wow. When you use the correct variables, like it actually, it works. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Oh my god. Don't know if you could tell, but that was satire. Okay. Look at us. Why are we printing stuff out? Oh. What is this? Variable declarations. Okay. That's better. That is better. Okay, so let's take a look at the generated code and make sure it's not insanity. Our numbers look correct. That looks proper. And we can't access a variable that doesn't exist. We still have to work on our error messages. Don't worry. I know. But we get invalid syntax of this unknown symbol debug marker. And if I were to do like debug marker, which is an integer, this should not be a redefinition. It still says all branches of if expression must return the same type. A is an integer, and the return of this should not have changed. So let's think about the otherwise type checking, because I don't think it's correct. Grammar do Parser Boy says hello again. Hello! That's a face we haven't seen in a while, since last time we streamed. How's it going, Grammar do Parser Boy? It's great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. So if there's a child, enter the otherwise context. So we have context to enter and to enter. Hey, this is a much cleaner way to deal with things, but you know. Grammar to Parser Boy says, working on my recipe crawler and ebook generator. Like EPUB? Are you generating EPUB from like Markdown or org? That would be dope. That would be very dope. Eternal Wild Fox says, the problem was a small init bug. Ooh. It's always those little like setup functions that screw everything up in the future. It's funny. Grammar to Parser Boy says yes. That's really cool. I'm actually very interested in that. Because Emacs is a great EPUB reader. So if I could generate EPUB from like you said, like Markdown or something like that, that would be very dope. I'm interested. Hopefully it's open source and I can check it. Grammar to Parser Boy says, I crawl recipe information from recipe sites and convert it into EPUB. You're gonna have like the modern man's cookbook. That's awesome. It's gonna be like an amalgamation of all the sites. Grammar to Parser Boy links to his thing. I think we can open this. Should be doing good. Daralek. Run .NET run. What is .NET? I've never seen this, but I'm excited to try. Ooh. Ooh. This is a deep, deep program. I like the to-do.txt. Very nice. But yeah, I'm very curious. Crawler factory. Template. Ooh. Ooh. I try to make a GitHub action, but it cannot find the correct executables. I've actually never done CI/CD on GitHub. It seems a little intimidating, so I just stay away from it. Grammar to Parser Boy says you can extend it with Scheme. That's awesome. I love Lisp. So that's really cool. Were you talking about this on the Discord earlier? I think I saw you writing some Scheme about defining a new something. Lander says, I have returned, but not for long, probably. We're just going over... Ooh, very cool. Grammar to Parser Boy says, yes. Nice. This is very cool. There's a lot here. It's incredible. But yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'm so excited to see the progress on that. I'd love to generate some EPUBs from HTML or whatever you are doing. Okay, so when we type check the otherwise expression, where do? We say otherwise type. So otherwise type is our, yeah, so result type is symbol integer, otherwise type is none. And the reason of that is because the if has a variable declaration with a child, and then a child. Like, wait, what? No. So this is incorrect. That has to be parsing a variable declaration. So when we parse, what are we doing? There should just be a variable declaration integer. This. And then this should be indented less. You know what I mean? The variable declaration should not get a stack continuation of of that. So maybe we're using working result instead of stack result in the stack operator for if else. See, we're not setting stack result. So let's think about this. That's an if then body. So an if else body, look at that. So we're setting working result to next expression. We're adding a child to stack result. So stack result gets a new child. That's not how that works. Why did we think this would work? We can't add a child to the stack result. We have to set whatever the parent of the stack result is. Its next child is accessible like this. And then we have to update the stack result to the... I don't even know what I was thinking. I really don't. Cyberpatty says, I still hear you saying Bobby every time. That's cute. Thanks, Cyberpatty. You can't see it, but I'm blinking my eyeballs. Blinking my eyeballs. That's probably the weirdest way to say that. You know when the, like, I don't know what to call it, like shuffling my eyelashes at you? You know, like in the movies. Thanks, Cyberpatty. I thank you. I'm cute. I may very well say Bobby. You know what really bothers me about something that I say in my accent? I say both with an L, and it kills me. Both. It doesn't make sense. It's both. It's both of them. Not both of them, it's both of them. But I say both, and it's horrible, and I cringe every time I hear it. Hey, look, it worked, chat. Our little fix. So not only did I fix it, I knew where to look for the fix. That was beautiful. That was very beautiful. And I knew what it was. I was like, oh, we're using working result instead of stack result. And that's pretty much what it was. We were just using the wrong add child command instead of setting the next child. We were setting children. Very interesting. Bobby. Okay, so we're good. We're good. Okay. And if we go to code.s, perfect. I love dialects, Grammar 2 Parser Boy says. In German, we call it Mundart, which is mouth art. That's awesome. That's pretty much what it is. Also, I think I missed... Nah, I didn't. Also, I did miss. So in the Discord, Waffle says, pasting their errors. Unmatched parentheses after for statement, and they've got a little caret in like a snippet of code. This is very impressive. Our codes and our errors do not look like this, and they may never. I wrote an elaborate system for errors. Oh my god. The Unicode characters are strong in this one. Wow. Can you do a single? What happens if a single character is what you're pointing to? Consider removing the extra dots. Wow. How does this work? I'm curious how the suggestion works, because that's impressive that you fixed the code for them. Like, I was wondering what I was looking at first, but this is very impressive. I was like, oh, this is the input. I was like, there's no extra dots in this. But that is incredible. Waffle, I'm not sure how you did that, but that I definitely love. Which I then ended up not using in the parser. Oh, no. They're beautiful, though. Rust C with nerd fonts. Basically. That's very cool, Waffle. That's very cool. Okay, so let's make sure that our little code example still runs. I was also thinking about, we could make these assembly files shebangs. Like, is this, I never remember which order it's in. I think the bang is the exclamation point, so it's like that. But then we could literally use like as to generate things, right? Because we have the name of the file when we're generating it, so we could just generate, right? We could do something like this, and it would probably totally work. Hopefully. Well, let's try. I guess we would have to try and run it from the shell, right? Code.s. Succeeded with no output. Ooh, and I gotta, how do you want to open this file? Okay, it didn't work. The shebang did not work on Windows, everybody. It may work on other platforms, but that's, I feel like, a good idea. Just include like the build and run script in the generated assembly, just to make it simpler. Or we could just have like a list of build options, or like build commands, right? And then you could just say like, in quotes, as code.o, code.s, stuff like that. And then you could just copy and paste and run. Not as efficient, but definitely doable. In Germany, they have a ton of dialects, right, Grammar to Parser Boy? They have, like, each region speaks their own little language. If America was like that, I feel like it would... I don't know what would happen. It would just, like, be weird. I can't imagine it. So I would go to, like, another state, and they're still speaking what's called English, but I don't understand them. Is that how that would work? Or am I misunderstanding how dialects worked? Is it just like they use different phrases, but the same words? Or grammar is... I don't know. I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant. You can tell me if you want. We're gonna write our little command here. We'll just do this. Okay, so we use the assembler and generate an object file. We use the linker, LD, and generate an executable, and then we run that executable. Failed with code 8 and no output. Guess what, chat? That's correct. If we go back down to 80, 16 goes into 85 times, 16 goes into 80 twice, and 32 doesn't go into 80, so our greatest common denominator should be 16. Let's see if we do it. Let's do a recompile of our entire compiler and everything. Let's run our little shell command on our generated code again, and we can see that we exited with code 16. Ain't that beautiful? We got the right answer twice. It probably works. Here's code 8. As seen before. Look at us. Look at us. So let's think about what we changed. And I guess we could try a variable access in the proper... Let's try it. So let's do debug testing, which is an integer. Look at us. It works. Do you think it'll still work, chat? I hope it still works. We have like variable accesses where we don't need them and everything, and it's not the most efficient program now, but you see, our return value in racks is made by our stack, our local variable debug testing, so we'll see. Failed with code 5 and no output. It did not work, chat. We got an access denied. That's not great. Okay, so I think I know what the issue is, I'm sure. Is that debug testing is -40 off this base pointer. So in the if-then, we have a variable access A, 16 off the base. Yeah, everything seems fine here. We call GCD Euclid and eat the things. And then we move racks into racks. Probably not needed, but definitely won't break anything. Next of X says, sometimes the dialect is so severe you don't understand. Grammar to Parser Boy says, yeah, sometimes each village have their own dialects. That's crazy. That's crazy. Next of X says, code 8_8, the spider face error. Lol. It does look like a spider face. I hate comments in assembly. So at the end of our if-then, we move racks into racks. Not ideal, but it doesn't matter. In either case, we move racks into -40 RBP, which is our debug testing variable, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So then the idea would be that... what? So when we access debug testing, everything should be fine. I mean, if we ate too much off the stack, it would be a problem, but we definitely haven't. And we're not saving racks in a lot of these scenarios because we're using it as a return value. So rack stores our return value from GCD Euclid, and then that gets stored into debug testing. And then after all of this, we'll do a variable access and move R10 into racks after moving racks into R10 after, it's not the most efficient, after returning debug testing into racks. So the value of debug testing should be written into racks, which is just a register. Racks should be written into R10. R10 should be written into racks, and then we get out of here and return whatever we return. But it seems like we definitely screwed something up. This should work, but it does not. What if we don't do the equals 0? Still code 5. Still code 5. Still an access denied somewhere. Should have 24 off the base pointer here. Yeah, we push racks twice, so we're just fine. We are just fine. And then we are, what? Also, I kind of just got sidetracked doing this random testing. But it does work because our compiler is properly type checking debug testing, and we don't have it like accessible up here. And if we did this, we can't like access it down here. It says, hey, reassignment of undeclared variable not allowed. Can't do that. Debug testing, no, no, no. So I think it's fine. We'll just have the if return the value. Also, we could do something like this as well, which is a little scarier, but it's definitely doable. Right? So we could say this is an integer. Yeah. See, this is acceptable code. Isn't this beautiful? This is actually kind of beautiful, chat. This is, I do like this a lot. So you can just have debug testing equal to this value. Look at that. Look at that. You think it's going to work now? I still don't. Exited with code 5. Yeah, still don't work. We should be getting 8 because that's the greatest common denominator, but we ain't. We'll figure it out eventually. We'll figure it out eventually. For now, everything is being type checked and done properly, so I'm not going to complain. Look at us. Lander XT says Google provides a useful search engine. Yes, it does. Socks go on your feet. We're just stating obvious things. But in any case, we can get the right answer if we write code that doesn't overcomplicate things. So let's just assume that nobody will write overcomplicated code and be good with it, huh? Well, so I should probably save what doesn't work. Yeah, I'm gonna save like this doesn't work, but it should. It's just an error in our code gen that we have to fix. It's not really a gigantic error. So hopefully we've done this. And we're going to add to miscellaneous. Also, we've done fixed lambda parsing because we got rid of it. It's gone. Done. Okay, now to do. This example should work, but it does not. I think if I type un, this will work. Look at us. We even have syntax highlighting. So yeah, this should work, but it does not. The following program returns 5. Access denied on Windows. Instead of the proper return value, instead of the proper, I don't know, the proper answer, the correct answer, which is 8. Perfect. LanderXT says, I was reading the Linux from Scratch book, and it mentions that for some reason. Wow. Google is a useful search engine. Did a robot write that? In any case, we fixed some things, so let's commit the commit there. So in our parser, in handle stack operator, we've gotten rid of lambda. So let's make this its own commit. Remove old lambda code. This is all lambda. To do parse lambda's rip. Perfect. And we'll get to these fixes eventually. So we're going to commit these changes and say parser remove old lambda parsing code. It was old and it didn't work anyway. No need to complicate things with code that doesn't even work anymore. Perfect. Nexovex's lambdas are gone. Crab. Oh god, the crustaceans are coming. Lander just put a bunch of crabs. Rust is taking over. Oh no, the oxidation. We're going to say parser. Symbols are unknown, even in child, even in cases where stat exists. Not sure why we thought this fix was needed before, or what issue it covered up. Either way, it's not needed now. Or it is. Or it is, and we just don't understand. We just don't yet understand how bad of a situation we are in. I wish I could do smiley faces at the end of parentheses better. Nexovex says, I'm actually not a Rust programmer, lol. I made I made a chess app in Rust once. That's it. LanderXD says SourceForge sucks. Yeah, they do. They don't suck. They're just not fully down with the sickness of open source software. I made a mistake. Thank you. And we're going to say a lot of parser fixes. Fix if else body fix if else body using incorrect API. Node child API. Sure, whatever. We'll say setting incorrect node child is what we'll do. I don't know why we thought add child was usable, because it isn't. Perfect. What else do we got? Codegen. Add a comment, I guess. There's a bunch of comments in the codegen around the if, and that has to do with this. So let me take a look. Yeah, all this stuff we don't really need anymore. Enter if then body context. Enter if otherwise body context. Bobby. Perfect. There should be context handling here, replaced with context handling. Beautiful. And then same thing here. What else do we got? We have an empty line. Don't think that's necessary at all. So we can get rid of that, get rid of that. In a function body, we also didn't handle this correctly before, so we're going to fix that. And looks like we're going to add our comment. We may be able to remove that hunk. So down here, if we go like this, yeah, still remove that. Just replace the one line, please. Thank you. That's looking better. This can stay up here. Yep, that's just for me, because I wanted that example that didn't work. I wanted to keep track of it. Okie doke. And as far as that goes, so comments. There we go. So that should be everything we need. We can now commit this codegen and say use, I guess I should say handle if contexts, both then and otherwise. Before we could not really do what? We could not really codegen if bodies properly. Bobby? Due to not entering the proper context as we iterated, as we generated. Everything is fixed now. Smiley face. Hooray! And with these 4 commits, parser changes, and codegen, we can push it into main. And now we take a look. Should be able to go to, let's see, where are we? I'm not logged in. The fun compiler, and as you can see, we are now all updated. Beautiful. You can go to the GitHub down below and check it out. Be sure to git pull if you already have it forked and everything. And yeah, that's beautiful. That's very beautiful. Perfect. We did it. We did it. Chat, we did it. Okay. That's right. We should probably refactor the Emacs major mode to be like it is, but better, you know? We should also write a TextMate grammar for Visual Studio integration. So we could get Visual Studio automatic completion and syntax highlighting. We could have our own plugin or extension. That's not a bad idea. We should probably really still do this one. Division and bit shifting binary operators. I don't see why we haven't done this yet. But also allowing external functions and symbols to be defined. That sounds fun, because then we could, for example, call printf and actually get our programs doing something and reacting with the external world. We could also just work on errors. Right? Which is definitely also a thing that we can do. Yeah, I think that's okay. Basically, Ooh, Eternal Wild Fox says, I am also thinking how my lexer can lex equals equals, less than or equal, greater than or equal, and, or, left, left, right, right, bracket operators. So you're talking about operators that are multiple characters long. So like, how are you going to parse equals equals? It's very similar to how you parse everything else. So you get like a number, and then you look ahead for some binary operator, right? So all you have to do is if you get equals, then you have to look ahead, right? Then you have to look ahead for binary operator extensions, right? If you want to allow spaces between them. Like if you want to allow this to still be 2, a equals 2, which is what I want. But if you want the operator to, that it must be like right up next to itself, then you just look ahead. You don't even have to parse again. You just look ahead one character and make sure it's not end of file. Next of X says you peek. Absolutely. There you go. That's how, then you did it. And if you get the extension, then obviously you get 2 equals equals, and you parse into here and look for some expression and say 2 equals equals, let's say like 4. And then that would evaluate to false, right? But yeah, you basically just look ahead after looking at equal, peek ahead and say, hey, what do I got? Is it another equal? And if it is, then you're good. And you don't even have to parse or peek if you don't want white space between them. Because no white space between them means you can just check the next character, the next byte in the file. This error message sucks. I love the anger that is captured in little messages like this. There must be a valid type following type annotation operator. That does suck. Lamau. Anyways, I don't really know what to work on next. I don't think I have a project that I can get done in time. This is going to take like an hour. This is going to take forever to figure out what the hell is going wrong in our code gen, right? We're going to have to do assembly. We could refactor the Emacs major mode. Let's try that. We're gonna do a little Emacs major moding and hope that we don't hate ourselves afterwards. So from what I've seen, there's a much better way to do what we did, and it's with let. So this was inspired by Serenity OS, which if we take a look, has a bunch of support for a bunch of different editors in the Yacht programming language, which they just started working on a few months ago. And there's even one for Emacs, so this is great, right? And again, they are much smarter. There's about hundreds of people working on Serenity OS and Yacht, right? So they're much more efficient than I am at writing Emacs Lisp. And you can see that their font lock is done all within one set queue using a let recursive. So this means that any let that is evaluated can then be used in a following let. So like yacht conditional can be used down here as to create the conditional regex. And they also use regex opt, which I've never heard of, but it looks like you can just feed it a list of words and it matches those. So we're gonna try and do some refactoring. Eternal Wildfox says you still have 1 hour streaming time. Oh, I wish. Eternal Wildfox says, assuming you make a 3-hour stream, that is. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that today. Noon is coming up very soon, and I got stuff I got to get done. Sadly, but it's true. I normally would do a 3-hour stream, but today it's looking like 2.5 because I woke up a little bit late. But it's fine. So we're basically going to copy this little ditty, and then we can just set font lock defaults to font lock defaults, which we basically do, right? we have that same little trick they do there. So we're just going to change this to defaults. So unnamed font lock defaults. And instead of being a list of all these different separated custom regex things, right? Let's try and think about how the group of words could be parsed. And maybe we're going to figure out that regex opt isn't going to work for us, and we can only fix like one little thing with this. Whoops, what did, enter blame mode? I hit Alt Tab, I'm pretty sure, and I entered blame mode. Can I not enter blame mode? Can I just go regular? What is it, tree? I never remember. It's blob. There we go. I always forget. Okay, so our font lock defaults. Instead of defining them as constant, we're just going to use setQ because we can, and it doesn't matter. SetQ, by the way, stands for set quoted. It's the same as using set and quoting both the arguments. No, just one of the arguments, like that. But they recommend you use setQ because it has special semantics. So what we're going to do is say set un font lock defaults to not this list, well maybe this list, but at least it should be a list with unquoted, yeah. Basically you unquote the regular expression that you make within the let variable declaration area. Yes, I'm starting to get it now. And then we, with this regular expression, match it to a face, which is like a theme, which is what we're doing here. It's just a little confusing. So let's see, let's try this. We're going to save our little def const, by the way. Def const. And it looked something like that, did it not? We'll save that, just in case we need it. For now, we don't need it. So we would like to let things happen. And one thing we would like to happen is we'd like to let the, basically what? We would like to let keywords equal to a list of our keywords, which I think is that for now. And we're not even going to have defun soon, so if and else, great keywords, great keywords. So I'm trying to replace this one right here. And then we also have operators, which I'm just going to copy like that, and then do operators. I'll do binary operators, because why not? And so now that we have these lists, we can say keywords regexp is equal to, so we're going to look at regexp opt and what this does. Returns a regular expression to match a string in the list strings. Each member of strings is treated as a fixed string, not as a regular expression. Perfect. Optional paren specifies how the returned regexp is surrounded by grouping constructs. So this optional argument here. If strings is empty, then regexp matches nothing. Paren can be a string, which means the resulting regular expression is preceded by paren and followed by close paren, e.g. use that to produce an explicitly numbered group. I see, so this lets you affect the output of the regex. If it's words, then it just says, okay, the regular expression is a single group. If it's symbols, there's an underscore here. What does that do? It's not just a group, it's an underscore group. I don't know what that does. And then anything non-nil that is not these three means the resulting regex is surrounded by just a group. Okay, so what is the angle brackets? I'm not smart enough with regex. If anybody knows, be sure to tell me in chat. Alrighty. It'll always match the longest string possible. That makes sense. Up to reordering, the resulting regex is equivalent to, but usually more efficient than, that of a simplified version. Yeah, basically you just create a string from all the different strings. It makes sense. The regex group, okay. So regex quote, return a regex string. I should not say regex. I'm gonna say RE. No, I'm gonna say regex, just without the P, because it keeps screwing me up. Return a regex string which returns string and nothing else. So if you did foo.starbar, it would match literally foo.starbar instead of using .star as any character repeating. Okay. Match any in the list strings, quoting each one. Return the depth of regex, which is, I don't even know, like how many groups, how many nested groups there are, and then char set. Okay. And then there's Rx, which we are familiar with. Crazy. This is very powerful and very complicated. So we can use regex with the words and use keywords. And then we can get the same thing with binary operators. Like that. So now that we have these regexps, what we would like to do is use them in the body of the let to actually do something. So we would like to make a mapping. We're going to quasi-quote this whole list that it returns, right? And then we're going to create a list within this, which is quoted, so it should be fine. Let's look at our example, make sure we're not deviating. We have a list of words. We have regular expression to match those words. And then we have it mapped in an improper pair to a typeface symbol. Interesting. So we effectively should do keywords regexp. See, they also only put regex instead of regular expression. It's tempting. I'm gonna do it because it's what I prefer to say. Regexp is always, I hate hitting that last P. So this is going to be a quoted font face. So this is going to be font lock what face? It's going to be keywords face. So we should get our keywords highlighted even when we reload this file. And there we go, we did it. We don't have any of the other ones, but look, chat, it's much simpler. We have lists, we have regular expressions, and all our data is separated from our conversions. This is much better. Thank you, the Yacht programming language, for being so awesome. Be sure to check this out. I'm going to link it in chat. On the YouTube, you can just Google Yacht. I promise you'll find it. It's popular enough. But there's literally 92 people who work on this, and it's a really cool, entirely memory-safe language. I don't see why memory safety is that important. But Yacht is looking really cool, and like you can do some very cool things with generics and everything. And it transpiles to C++. It doesn't actually create assembly or anything, which is such a unique way to write a language, right? But it's very cool. You can have structures, everything, classes, dictionaries that are built in. It's beautiful. It's really cool. I recommend checking it out, and I thank them for making it open source so I can learn from how they build their major mode for Emacs, because I'm bad at Emacs Lisp, apparently. In any case, we can now set up our binary operators regex into our operator face. Is that how we did it? How did we do it before? Did we just use default? We used nil, yeah. So I don't think there is a font lock operator face is the problem. Got all of these, but not an operator. Variable name, type, syntactic face, string, referent, preprocessor, built-in, comment delimiter, comment, constant. Yeah, nothing. So we are just going to map it to nil and hope that that's fine. As well as what? So it would be cool to define some more regex for things that we had before, like function names and built-in types. So I think what we can do is have something like this. Yeah, I think this will work out great. So we're going to have built-in types regex. And that just equals the regex we wrote. I think this will be fine. And then we basically just say, hey, when you find one of those, map it to, also, I did that wrong. Map it to a font lock face of type. We have type? We do. Okay, I did not mean to recompile. I meant to reload this and then reload this. It didn't work, but it's probably because unmode is cached now. I don't think we can like force it to. Yeah, here we go. Void variable binary types regex. Oh yeah. Built-in types. Whoa. I think that worked. And we're going to, there we go. So now we have types back. That's wonderful. And we could even, I'm not sure if we can do quasi-quotes here. Should we try it? We're going to try it, chat. So we're going to quasi-quote, I guess, unquote splicing a list. Hopefully this works because we're in this let macro. And the list is going to be whatever we called it, built-in types or whatever. And then we're going to say built-in types. And we'll see if this works. I don't think it will. Unknown Rx form, unquote splicing. Yeah. So Rx does not sit happy with that because it's a macro that did not deal with it. And if we try and quasi-quote it, it says unknown form quasi-quote. So it doesn't quite work. But it's okay. We can just put this data right down here. It's not a big deal. And yeah, we can write things like this as well. So now we have our built-in types. We have our operators. We can match a function name, which was a very broken thing before. Yeah, this is going to be much better. Okay. And it also means we don't need all these constant symbols in the environment just sitting around doing nothing. So, font lock function name, we match defun, literally, followed by any amount of white space, and then a group followed anything that isn't white space, or an open paren. Shouldn't this be not open paren? Right? Like that. That's probably why we were having the issue before. I didn't add this into my final one either. So we're gonna do like this. We're gonna say function definition regex. So this is not going to be around forever. Otsego Electric says, hi Lens, hi chat. How's it going, Otsego? It's great to see you. We're working a little bit on our emacs Lisp to define our syntax highlighting for the language in emacs, which you can see is going okay. We're trying to get function definitions. I guess I should say declaration. I'll say function declaration name regex, but I'm just going to do this for now. And we're going to reevaluate and reevaluate and reload. So we want to match until. How do we match until something? Is that a possibility? Does anybody know regular expressions? How do you do until? There's no until here. I may be overcomplicating this. So I just need to match a group of anything, and then after it, match this. So what if I match the group followed by an open paren? Interesting. Okay, so I am curious. So we get defun, any amount of white space, and then a group, anything that isn't white space, and then an open paren. So then we need white space in here. I think this is making sense. Whoops. It seemed like it would make sense, but it does not. So now we get, oh boy. It got a little more complicated. Defun, followed by any amount of white space, I hope. Is that any amount? Am I not doing any amount of white space? Am I allowing one white space? Right? Any white space? Do I have to do this? I don't think it should matter, but I'm curious. Defun, followed by white space, followed by any amount of... Yeah, we might need the any. Okay, so with this redone, still nothing. We'll try. We'll wait on that one. Regular expressions aren't fun to figure out live. In any case, we have this back, up and running in a much cleaner way. I think this is going to stay like that. This can all stay like that. This is beautiful. So now to add things, it's clear, like, okay, define your regex and then use it in this font lock defaults list. That will be returned and used here. Looking pretty good, looking pretty good. All right, we're looking at the very end of our stream, pretty much. I'm sorry, Otsego, that you just showed up, but the VOD will be up right away on Twitch, and also likely on YouTube in just a few hours. Yeah, I'll just get rid of it. We don't need to worry about it. Otsego Electric says, what sphere of programming do you working on IRL? Systems programming? If it is, can you advise me a couple of I can't even read. Can you advise me a couple fundamental books about OSs, maybe low-level programming, system programming in C, and so on? I am actually not the person to ask about books. I am not good at learning from books, so I haven't read... I've read, like, crafting interpreters, and it just confused me. I didn't really understand it. And it's kind of scary. I kind of learned by seeing code that works, and then going, that's a really smart way to do that. I'll do that from now on. And then That's kind of how it goes. So if you want to ask about good books and stuff like that, be sure to ask in the Discord, ask chat around here, do whatever you would like, and they will give you better answers, because I'm a weird boy. I learn not from books. I'd recommend just writing code, just do things, but that's not good for everybody. Arnal says Crafting Interpreters is an amazing book. See, there you go. Nexavec says books are good for nothing. You have to program it to learn it. We see that there are lots of opinions surrounding this issue. I really hope Robert does another book like that. I couldn't care less, but if it helps people, I hope he does another one too. Because if it helped you, then it's like, well, yeah, I hope he does. He helps you more. I want people to learn. I just don't learn in that way, so it's hard for me to picture that, right? But that's very cool. If Crafting Interpreters is a good book, I'd go read that one. And I'm pretty sure you can find it free online. Crafting Interpreters. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's on his website. I see. You can download a sample, but yeah, you have to buy it. I'm pretty sure you used to be able to read. Yeah, read the whole book for free. Here it is. Here you go. Put that link in chat. Here's Crafting Interpreters. And I'm gonna let you know, it did not help me. All it did was confuse me more. What helped me a lot was like this make a Lisp thing. Yeah, just build your own Lisp. And this helped me understand like, oh, I just created a language that transformed the world in 1958. You know what I mean? So you can read this one online as well. There's Make a Lisp. I'll link that one into your chat. And then there's also a specific Lisp tutorial that I followed that's like LWJH or something, but I don't remember what it is. Yeah, I don't remember. But if you see a website that looks like LWJH or something like that, and it's a .edu, then that's a great one. It's the one I actually learned from, how to make a Lisp programming language, which is very worth it. But yeah, I recommend stuff like that. Go code something. If you like it, code it. You know what I mean? If it looks cool. If you see a renderer in like a Mandelbrot set and you're like, ooh, I want to have that on my computer screen, then just go make that program, figure out how it works. And then you'll learn stuff along the way. We got to do a git commit. So we're going to say all this is the same. We're going to commit and say editors /emacs. Simplify major mode. Inspired by Yacht programming language of the Serenity OS project. I could link to like where this. I think that's a good idea. Because I did basically only do this change because of seeing this file. And also we can simplify the syntax table, I know, and we still need to write an indent function, but as you can see, it's a little bit lispy. It's going to take a little bit to figure out what this means, right? And but yeah, we'll definitely do that as well in the future. Perfect. And we'll just push that right away into main. And then in the to-do, we can say to done, and we'll say to do emacs major mode indenting and simplify syntax table entries. Perfect. And I'm literally just going to copy this and put it here. And this is going to move down to our done pile. Perfect. We have so much to do. And there we go. You remove one, you add one. That seems pretty good. I think that is pretty good. We still haven't done environment free. We're just leaking memory out the wazoo. Oh well. Gnarly Quack says, how's your Sunday going? It's going okay. Thank you, Gnarly Quack. It's also so good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. We were just ending the stream now, I am sorry to say. We're doing our little last run through here. Eternal Wild Fox says, oh yeah, chip 8. That's right, you have the chip 8 bytecode interpreter to work on, or assembler and disassembler. What was it? Yeah, the assembler disassembler. That'd be sweet. And we still have to do chip 8 as a backend for this language, which I think is totally doable, because it has procedures. It's basically an assembly language. And then I want this language to be able to compile to like Korth, like another language I've made, just to make it very circular. Gnarly Quack says, no worries, I was gonna lurk anyway and let you work this time. Aw, you're so sweet. Gnarly says, scratch off 1 to do, add 6 more. Lol. That's absolutely correct. And yeah, we've done it. We've handled if contexts properly, so we can now we can at least have integers defined within the context, and we can use them and access them, and nothing breaks. Everything, the tree looks fine, right? We have a declaration, debug, access, debug, another if, which was totally broken this morning, and we fixed it. So we made a lot of progress. Just inserting this before would break our compiler completely, but now it doesn't. Now it works either way. Not necessarily in the code it generates, but it does work. The compiler doesn't complain. And in the code it generates, we still get failed with code 8, which is the greatest common denominator between 88 and 32. Beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. Yeah, I would just like to thank everybody for what I can't speak. I'd just like to thank everybody so much for watching. The VOD is going to be available on Twitch right away, and it will be uploaded to YouTube in just a few short hours. Thank you so much to everyone for watching. I would like to point you down below to the Discord. Whoops. I'm doing real good today. I would like to point you to the Discord in the About section of Twitch, where we have a ton of fun. There are notifications every single time I go live. You can ask to join a notifs group and be pinged every time I go live. And just in general, we have a ton of fun. We talk about programming. Yeah, here's the scheme that Grammar du Parser Boy was talking about. This is very cool. This is very cool. And yeah, he's making a recipe crawler to get recipes from websites and turn them into ebooks, which is just legendary. That's a lot of work. data management. But yeah, we have a ton of fun. We laugh. We're all friends here. It's a lot of fun. I recommend joining. And yeah, do that. Or don't if you don't want. Be sure to hit that follow button on Twitch if you want their shoddy notifications. Every once in a while, you'll be notified when I go live. And it really helps boost the numbers and let us get discovered by more people. So I'd appreciate if you did that. There's also the GitHub down below, where you can check out the compiler code, which is up to date with our latest commit that we've made. And you can fork it, you can star it, you can do whatever you want with it. Run code, write your own examples. We're accepting PRs, we've already merged one. So yeah, I really recommend it. And if you have any problems, check out the Discord, you can ask. Do whatever you would like. Gnarly Quack says, so I tried joining your Discord, and I hadn't been signed up before. Despite clicking on pictures of yawning lions about 6 times, they automatically and immediately disabled my account because they thought I was doing something nefarious. So, Discord wins, shrug. RIP, I'm sorry. Yeah, they do have a pretty intensive anti-bot thing. It's okay. If you cannot join the Discord, then just follow on Twitch and you should get notifications when I go live most of the time. Yeah, hopefully that works out. My last and final request is that if you have the extra money, if it's just laying around and you got nothing to buy, you got nothing to do with it, you're not going to pay your bills with it, you're not going to buy groceries, you have money laying around. I would greatly appreciate it if you could throw $1 or more, some of that my way, with the donate button down below in the Twitch About section. I would greatly appreciate any and all donations, and if you leave a message that is appropriate, I will read it on stream and shout you out. For example, our latest donator, which is RPWH, which is TTV at RPWH_. Thank you, RPWH, for being a legend and continuing to support this stream and this amazing community that you have become a part of. So thank you, RPWH, for being a supporter of the stream and the most recent donator. With all that, we are no longer welcoming, and we are sadly saying goodbye. It is time to go. I thank everybody so much for watching. Gnarly Quack says, but when if I do, I'll join. I'm not sure I can sort it out with them, but I just haven't been motivated to do so. Yeah, I hate dealing with big companies that won't allow you to make an account. Like, I've bought Minecraft like 4 times just because of their terrible customer support. Lamau. Anyways, thank you everybody so much. If it is nighttime where you are, good night. If it's morning, good morning. Have a great day. If it's afternoon, or nearly afternoon like it is for me, just have a good day. Have a good time. I promise. Gnarly Quack says, oh my gosh. Life's too short, you know? It really is. It really is. No, it's too long. It's much too long. Nexovec says, good night. Good night, Nexovec. I will see you in another life. Probably not another life. Probably just another time in the same life, but that's something people say. What? That's something people say, right? Gnarly Quack says, anyway, have a good one, Lenzer. Thank you, Gnarly. Thank you, Nexo. Thank you, Eternal Wild Fox. Arnow. Who else did we have in here? Otsego. Landar. We had earlier Grammar to Parser Boy was in here. Who else did we have? I'm going to scroll up and chat. We had Lil Weege. Lil Weege, how could I forget Lil Weege? Lil Weege was the best. We got Neg Borsa in here earlier, talking about Subversion, Cyber Patty, Nick. That's right, Nick and Arnow are working on a new compiler. They're writing it in C. I'm so excited. It's so exciting. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Love you all, and I'll see you at another time. Probably at the same place. Bye-bye!